I want to let you know that there is a definitive blueprint that you can follow to achieve success, prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind. It's a blueprint, and I followed it my whole career. It's very simple. There's three things you just do. These three things. Pay your taxes, mind your business, and keep Will Smith's wife's name out your mouth!
You know, it's like, it's hard. And I guess the thing that was most painful for me, I understand, you know, how shocking that was for people, man.
Right.
You know, on that
shocked?
stage.
You seemed a little dazed afterwards, I'm not gonna lie.
No, I was gone, dude. I was gone. I was, you know, that was a rage that had been bottled for a really long time.
Right.
And, you know, but I understand the pain.
The In Hollywood just keeps getting worse, and trust me, you won't want to miss this latest twist. Eddie Murphy, the legendary funny man we all know and love, is back in the spotlight, and this time, he's throwing some serious shade at none other than Will Smith. If you remember, Eddie was one of the voices speaking out against Will's infamous slap at the Oscars. He called it out for what it was, a big no-no. But things took a turn when Eddie made a joke about the incident, and let's just say, Will wasn't too pleased about it.
That was a horrific night, as you can imagine. You know, there's many nuances and complexities to it, you know. But at the end of the day, I lost it.
Now the situation has snowballed, and it seems like the whole world is joining in on the fun at Will's expense. Even Jim Carrey, who previously had his own moment of publicly humiliating Will, is getting in on the action. It's a wild ride of laughter, critiques, and unexpected alliances in the comedy world, and it raises a lot of questions about how these guys handle their fame and their feuds. So grab your popcorn, because we're about to unpack all the juicy details of this Hollywood showdown. For those who might not be in the loop, let me fill you in on a recent development that's stirring up quite the conversation. Jim Carrey has been pretty vocal about Hollywood's response to Will Smith winning the Oscar for Best Actor for King Richard. What's really surprising is that this standing ovation came just moments after Will slapped Chris Rock on stage.
You know who's got the hardest job tonight? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
To give you a bit of context, Chris made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's bald head. She shaved it last year after revealing her struggle with alopecia. A lot of people were shocked by the slap, and even more so by the applause that followed Will's Oscar win. Jim Carrey didn't hold back in criticizing that reaction, pointing out how strange it is to celebrate someone right after such a public altercation. It's definitely sparked a lot of debate about what's acceptable in Hollywood, and it's clear that emotions are running high. Jim's comments have added another layer to this already complicated situation, making it a hot topic for everyone to discuss.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore. I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. You know, that insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience and disapprove or show a disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words. It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated, and I wish him the best. I really do. I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. But that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shining moment last night. It was just a selfish moment to cast a pall over the whole thing.
Anyway, after the slap happened, Will Smith issued an apology to Chris Rock right after the Oscars, and it was quite heartfelt. He wrote, "Jokes at my expense are part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed, and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be." It's clear he's reflecting on that night and the impact of his actions. Meanwhile, Jim Carrey was busy promoting his latest project, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. He's been on a press tour, and you can bet that his thoughts on the Oscars incident are coming up in interviews. It's a fascinating time, with both of these comedic icons navigating their own paths in the spotlight, each with their own takes on the situation. Now, it looks like Eddie Murphy is absolutely relishing the moment, knowing that Jim Carrey has also stepped up to call out Will Smith. You can just picture Eddie sitting back with a big smile, enjoying the chaos from the sidelines. After all, he was one of the first to poke fun at Will after that infamous slap, and now he's joined by none other than Jim Carrey, another comedy legend. Eddie has always had a knack for turning tough situations into laughs, and this whole scenario seems to be right up his alley. With both him and Jim chiming in, it's like the comedic universe is aligning against Will, and you know Eddie is soaking it all in. It must feel pretty good for him to see that he's not alone in his views, and that others are willing to speak out too. It's a classic case of comedy camaraderie, and you can bet Eddie is enjoying every bit of the spotlight as he navigates this hilarious and somewhat chaotic landscape. Eddie Murphy is really having a blast with all of this, and it's not hard to see why. He called out Will Smith over the slap in a comedic way, and even though he approached it with humor, it didn't sit well with Will at all. Will was clearly upset, and Eddie sensed that his lighthearted jab struck a nerve. Now, with Jim Carrey joining the fray and the rest of the world piling on, Eddie must feel like he's finally witnessing some poetic justice. He seems to believe that Will is getting the backlash he deserves after that infamous incident. In Eddie's eyes, the tables have turned, and now it's Will who's on the receiving end of the jokes and criticism. For someone like Eddie, who's always championed comedy as a way to handle tough situations, it's almost satisfying to see the narrative shift. He's probably enjoying the camaraderie of fellow comedians rallying against what they see as an overreaction, and it's giving him a chance to shine in the spotlight once more. It's a wild ride, and Eddie's clearly here for it. For those of you who might not be in the loop, let me fill you in on a recent moment that had everyone talking. Eddie Murphy was honored with the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the 80th Annual Golden Globes ceremony, and he definitely didn't shy away from addressing last year's infamous Oscars incident. You know the one I'm talking about, when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock over a comment about Jada Pinkett Smith. As Eddie wrapped up his speech, he threw in a hilarious joke that caught the audience off guard. He shared what he called a blueprint for success that he's followed throughout his entire career. And it went something like this.
Just do these three things. Pay your taxes, mind your business, and keep Will Smith's wife's name out your mouth!
You could feel the room erupt with laughter, and you just know that joke resonated with everyone who's been following this saga. When reporters caught up with him backstage and asked if he'd spoken to either Will or Chris since that dramatic night, Murphy said,
"No, I haven't, but I love both of them."
He really seemed to emphasize that love, reminding everyone that, despite the drama, there's still respect and admiration among these talented individuals. In a follow-up with Entertainment Tonight, Eddie added,
Because in reality, I've worked with Jada.
No,
I
she
love
was the
Will, and I
complacent.
love Chris and Will, and it's all love.
So, while he's making light of a tense situation, it's clear that Eddie values his relationships with both Will and Chris. It's a delicate balance, but he's handling it with his signature humor and charm. When Murphy was asked by Extra whether he thinks he will hear from Smith after making the joke, Murphy said no, and repeated his expression of love for both Smith and Rock. 57. Murphy told the outlet he would have made fun of the now infamous moment at the upcoming Oscars if he were hosting the ceremony in March.
In the Oscars, I would have worked that joke that I did right in there in some kind of way. I think you have to say something about it, but then you move on.
Now, the thing is, while Eddie Murphy took the whole Oscars incident in stride, delivering his joke with his trademark humor, it seems Will Smith wasn't laughing at all. In fact, reports suggest that Will was allegedly quite upset with Eddie for poking fun at him during such a prestigious event. You can imagine that Will, still processing the backlash from that infamous slap, probably didn't appreciate Eddie's lighthearted jab at a moment when he was already feeling the heat. Eddie's joke may have been intended to bring some laughter and levity to the situation, but for Will, it might have felt like adding fuel to the fire. It's a classic case of two different approaches, Eddie using comedy as a way to cope with the chaos, and Will feeling the weight of the public scrutiny that comes with such a high-profile incident. While Eddie's having a good time with it, it's clear that Will is still wrestling with the repercussions of his actions, and he might see Eddie's comments as crossing a line. The whole scenario is a clear example of the complexity of navigating friendships and public personas in Hollywood, especially when humor collides with real emotions. Eddie Murphy seems to think that Will Smith should brace himself for even more backlash heading his way. After all, the spotlight is back on Will thanks to the recent drama surrounding Diddy and the ongoing discussions about the Oscars incident. Eddie's got a point. When you're already in the public eye for one major controversy, it doesn't take much for the media and fans to start digging deeper and making more headlines. Eddie knows how the game works. He's been around long enough to see how quickly public opinion can shift. He might believe that, with all the chatter and scrutiny surrounding Will right now, he's in for a rough ride. The more people talk, the more potential for new stories to surface, and Eddie's probably thinking that Will needs to be prepared for whatever comes next. Recent resurfaced photos and interviews have stirred up some intrigue about the relationship between Will Smith and P. Diddy, Sean Combs. The two have been linked since the late 90s, often spotted together at high-profile events and enjoying a long-standing friendship in the entertainment world. Interestingly, both of them launched their music careers around the same time, P. Diddy with his debut single in 1996, and Will Smith following suit in 1997. They've been seen together at various gatherings, including a notable 2003 event with the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali. One particularly wild memory that stands out is when Will attended one of P. Diddy's infamous Miami parties in 2004. These gatherings are known for their extravagant and sometimes outrageous flair. At this particular bash, reports suggest that a buffet was served off the chest of a woman, with other big names like Diana Ross, Bruce Willis, and Owen Wilson in attendance. Talk about a party to remember. Fast forward to the aftermath of the 2022 Oscars, where Will made headlines for slapping Chris Rock. P. Diddy didn't hesitate to step in and offer a public defense of his longtime friend. While introducing a segment for The Godfather's 50th anniversary, he lightheartedly remarked,
"Okay, Will and Chris, we're gonna solve that like family at the gold party, okay? But right now we're moving on with love. Everybody make some noise."
This shows that, despite the controversies, the bond between Will and Diddy remains strong, with Diddy clearly wanting to take a more diplomatic approach to the situation. A recent interview from 2023 on Jimmy Kimmel Live has resurfaced, where P. Diddy addressed some wild rumors involving Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Jennifer Lopez. When Jimmy Kimmel brought up the gossip suggesting that Will and Jada had tried to initiate a Lopez, Diddy laughed it off, calling the whole story crazy. He quickly added, "I don't know what you're talking about," clearly dismissing the rumors without hesitation.
Hey, speaking of
This
love,
is love.
I saw a guy on the internet the other day who said he used to be your security guard, who said that when you were dating J-Lo, Will Smith and Jada tried to pick her up on a you were gonna beat up Will Smith. Is that true?
Yo, this show has gotten crazier since the last time I No,
It's all about love, though. That's not true?
You really heard that? Nah.
What? Yeah, I watched it on the internet. You're telling me I can't believe everything I read?
What? I don't know what you're talking about. Jimmy, I thought we was friends. Where did this?
Eddie Murphy has weighed in on the recent Diddy drama, suggesting that this renewed attention on Will Smith could lead to even more challenges for him. Eddie seems to think that with the spotlight shifting back to Will because of the resurfaced rumors and events surrounding Diddy, things are only going to get tougher for him. In Eddie's view, the Hollywood landscape is notorious for how quickly public perception can change. And right now, it seems like Will is back in the hot seat. The combination of the ongoing discussions about the Oscars slap and the resurfacing of stories involving Diddy and other high-profile figures might feel overwhelming for Will. Eddie likely recognizes that the more people talk, the more scrutiny Will face, especially with the added complexity of his relationships in the industry. It's clear Eddie believes that Will should be prepared for whatever comes next, as the buzz surrounding the Diddy situation could lead to even more headlines and not all of them will be favorable. Will Smith is undoubtedly feeling the pressure as all this drama unfolds. With the renewed focus on his past relationships and the resurfacing of rumors, it's clear that he's worried about how this will all impact his public image. The combination of the fallout from the Oscars incident and the latest Diddy headlines has put him back in the spotlight in a way he might not have anticipated. As more stories come to light, Will likely feels a sense of unease about how they'll affect not just his reputation, but also his family. He's been working hard to move past the slap and focus on his career, but now it seems like the past is catching up with him. The Hollywood rumor mill is relentless, and the resurfacing of these tales can quickly escalate into a full-blown media frenzy. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real.